Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. You are watching Study with Sir Sheraz, and in today's lecture, we are going to talk about the nuclear models. Basically, nuclear models are those theories that explain the structure of the nucleus and how the nucleons, that are protons and neutrons, are present within the nucleus and how they are interacting with each other, and these models explain the nature of nuclear forces that hold the nucleons together in the nucleus. So there are two nuclear models. The one is liquid drop model and the other one is the nuclear shell model. So first of all, we will discuss about the liquid drop model. This model is also known as the point model, and this was given by the Neil Bohr and developed by a number of other scientists. So first of all, if we would look at the definition or the basic principle of the liquid drop model, so it's the nucleus can be considered as a bunch of particles bound together by mutual attractive forces, just like water molecules are bind with each other in a drop of water by surface tension. As the word indicates, liquid drop model. So this model considers the nucleus just like the drop of the water, and it says that just like water molecule is bound by a large number of other water molecules within a drop, and there exists a number of cohesive forces between the water molecules that keep the water molecules bound with each other. So in the same way, as a nucleus is composed of a large number of nucleons, so these nucleons act just like the water molecules, and these nucleons are bound with each other through a large number of cohesive forces that keep the nucleons together within the nucleus. The word mentioned here is the surface tension, the force acting on the surface particles vertically downward or the perpendicular to the surface. So if we have a drop of water just like this, so all those water molecules that are present on the surface of this drop would be experiencing a force that is vertically inward from the surface, and because of these forces the water molecules are strongly held with each other. So in the same way, the cohesive forces of the nucleus act from outside toward the inside. If we have this nucleus, the circles are showing the small nucleons, and every nucleon is experiencing a force that is toward the center of the nucleus from outside. So this is about the surface tension in the case of the nucleus. As the size of the drop increases, surface tension also increases. Ultimately, drop breaks away. As we experience that when the size of a drop of water increases, so after a certain size, the drop breaks away from the point from where it is emerging. So why the drop is falling down? Because the cohesive forces become so much in magnitude that the drop breaks away from the point and it falls down. It is experienced that the very high nuclei are unstable and they spontaneously disintegrate into a large number of particles. So in the same way as a water drop is broken away from the point from where it is growing, it has high density of 10 to the power 14 gram per cubic centimeter. The cohesive forces existing within the nuclei are very strong, and because of that very strong nuclear forces, the density of nucleus is very high. That's the order of 10 to the power 14 gram per cubic centimeter. As more nucleons are added, shape changes to the elliptical. If you look at here at this example, at the start the nucleus is having a spherical, but as the number of nucleons increases, the cohesive forces also increases, but with the increase in the cohesive forces there occurs a change in the shape of the nucleus from spherical to elliptical, and with the increasing number of nucleons there reaches a point that the nuclei breaks apart into two fragments, and in doing so, the fragments of nucleus are maintaining the surface tension up to a certain level. If we talk about the merits of the liquid drop model, so first of all, it successfully explains intranuclear forces and low energy nuclear reaction. So basically, the liquid drop model is successful in explaining the intranuclear forces and the nuclear reactions that take place with a very small change in the energy. So basically, these nuclear reactions are aimed at maintaining the surface tension and the cohesive forces within the nucleus. The next point is it explains nuclear fission. So this theory explains why the nuclear fission reaction takes place. As I have explained earlier, that the uranium, that's a nucleus which undergoes nuclear fission. Uranium is having a very large atomic mass, that is 235 or 236, 237, 238, 239. So that are the large number of the isotopes of the uranium. So the number of nucleons within the uranium nucleus is very large, that is 235. So such large number of nucleons make its nucleus unstable, and in order to make the nucleus stable, it breaks apart into many particles. Trends of the nuclear binding energy. We have explained the topic of the nuclear binding energy, in which we explained the trends of the nuclear binding energy, how the nuclear binding energy increases, how it decreases. It was observed that the nuclear binding energy is small for very lighter nuclei. It increases with the increase in the mass of the nucleus, but up to a certain limit. After that, whenever the mass increases, the nuclear binding energy again decreases. So it explains the trends of the nuclear binding energy. It has some demerits, that is, it doesn't explain stability of the lighter elements like the hydrogen 1, 2, the deuterium. Basically, this theory cannot explain why the lighter nuclei are also stable, because it has explained that with the increase in the number of nucleons or the size, the cohesive forces increase, the surface tension like forces increase, and the nucleus becomes stable. But why the deuterium is stable? Because it's having only two nucleons, one proton, one neutron. Then why it is stable? It cannot explain. The second point is the unable to explain nuclear isomers and high binding energies of the nuclei with magic numbers. So this theory cannot explain the existence of nuclear isomers. As I have explained in the one previous lecture, that the nuclear isomers are the nuclides having same atomic number, same atomic mass, but different energy content. So this theory cannot explain how the nuclear isomers are formed. The lectures of the nuclear isomers and isobars and isotones are given at the end screen, and the link is also provided in the description section. So you must watch that video in order to get the idea of the nuclear isomers and the nuclear binding energy. That video is also given in the description section. The second point that this theory cannot explain is the high binding energies of the nuclei with magic numbers. This theory cannot explain why certain nuclei having the nucleons of magic number are more stable than the other nuclei. So these are the two demerits. The one is that it cannot explain the stability of lighter element. The other one is the isomer, nuclear isomer, and the high binding energies of the magic number. So this was all about the liquid drop model. In the next lecture, we will discuss about the nuclear shell model. So we will meet in the next video. Up till then, Allah Hafiz.